guys, we're here in Granby, Connecticut at Anotherway Farm. And this is a new coworker of mine from Riverside, Rachel. We're going to meet her and her family. This is their business. And they apparently make wreaths, centerpieces, outdoor pots from scratch. So we're really excited.
And she's going to show us how to make Christmas wreaths.
It's really cold. It's late November. We actually had snow in the northwest corner here. It's no snow, but still winter.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here in the workshop out of that crazy cold wind, and we're about to start. So you just talk us through, it all starts with this, I guess.
Yeah, so this is our form right here. We do buy these, but we can hand make them as well, just using some wire, some baling wire. You can bend it into a form and then attach it with our wire. We use 3-gauge wire, so it's strong, but it's easy to cut. So it's easy to work with there.
And the gauge refers to how thick it is, right?
Yeah. So we got a little helper over here. But the first thing we're gonna do when we start is secure our wire to our form. And then we're not gonna cut the wire again after we do that. So when you attach it, you wanna make sure it's really on there. So yeah. So then I'm just attaching the wire here. My wire's getting a little wily. But then just kind of make sure everything is nice and secure by wrapping it around here. We have our wire secured on our form here. We're gonna start with some materials. So right now we're working with some white pine, which is this, some cedar, it's got some blueberries on it. We've got some spruce with some pine cones, some white fir, and then there's some holly over there that I think I'll be using as well.
So when I imagined this, I think that you would take all of like a baseline thing like the white pine or the fir. That's fir, right?
This is the spruce.
Spruce.
This is the fir. Yeah.
Yep. I imagined that you take all of that and then the little bundles got put on afterwards, but that's not what we're talking about.
Right, so I want to incorporate a bunch of different textures all the way around the wreath, just so we have some depth and some drama going through the whole thing.
And people talk about single-sided and double-sided, what's that all about?
Yeah, so when we're going to be making a single-sided wreath today, so we're going to be going around and attaching our bunches to one side of the frame. When we start, you'll see that it's going to be making a front, and then some wire will be exposed on the back. So it's not going to be covered on the back. You can go ahead and do a double-sided wreath. It's just going to take a lot more time,
and more
you're
material.
And more material. So today we're just going to be doing a single-sided wreath.
Okay, perfect.
So to start, you kind of want to think about a pattern that you might want to follow. So your wreath is a little bit consistent. It doesn't have to be the same every time, but you're going to want to start off with a little bunch. Anything that you think is pretty, kind of just go ahead and collect into a bunch. We've got a bunch like this going on right now. And then we're gonna, I like to clip the ends, kind of make them a little bit the same length.
Good.
And then we're gonna go ahead and start attaching it to our form right here. This is a 12-inch form, by the way.
And that's the diameter here.
Across the center,
Sometimes I know when you purchase wreaths, they'll say it's a 20-inch wreath or whatever. And so sometimes they measure from the outside diameter, and that's confusing. It can be. But
right, and you'll see, like, when we're done, it's going to look a little bit smaller on the inside than 12 inches, just because our greens are going to be taking up a lot of room as well. So it's definitely the size of the form when you purchase your wreath.
Got it.
So a 12-inch ring will make something that's probably like 14 or 16 inches across.
To the outside, yeah.
To the outside.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's great.
So
good question.
Our first bunch, here we go. We're going to attach it right on the center of the frame. As we go along, you'll see that we'll start to change it up a little bit with our angles, but our first one is going to be right on the center. And I'm just taking the 3-gauge wire and wrapping it around the outside and tightly securing it. Yeah, we don't want anything falling out.
Okay.
So this is our first bunch. Yay.
It's amazing to me that you're not going to cut that, because I feel like I would have to. It would drive me crazy to try to.
Yeah, no, it is. Sometimes I pull it too tight and I break it. You can always try to doctor it up a little bit, twist it together.
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of little tricks you can figure out, but you know, the goal is to keep it all together.
Got it.
So then we're gonna go ahead with our second bunch here. We're kind of gonna work in groups of 3.
Meaning 3 pieces of material? Bunch,
3
or 3
bunches at
okay.
a time. So I'm gonna take my second bunch once I have it together, and I'm going to put it on the inside here. So it's going to create the inside, so it's not just one skinny line along the
Got it.
outside. And then my third one is going to be on the outside this way. And then I'll go back to the middle and attach it right in the middle like that.
Amazing.
So we have some on the outside and the inside. And like I said before, you're gonna kind of want to have an idea of what kind of materials you want to be using in your wreath, because you don't want to incorporate something, you know, 7 bunches in that you haven't used before, because then it'll look a little silly and a little out of place maybe.
Right. Do you try to choose maybe 5 elements, like 5 types of things, or do you just sort of say what looks good and as many?
Yeah, so sometimes I get to be a little picky choosy, but a lot of times it's what materials we have, you know, and just from experience what I think looks good in the wreaths and whatnot. I usually use the winterberry in my wreaths and whatnot, but today I'm gonna just use our greens for now. Just we can try to do a little bunch later if we wanted, but. Just wrap it around.
I wish that we had Scentorama, because it smells so amazing in here.
It does.
It's
I
just-
love this cedar. It's unreal.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's amazing too, because it really, this makes me feel like the holidays.
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's hitting me, and it's, you know, the wind is just whistling outside, and it's so cozy in here. It's just perfect.
Okay, and so this is the one that's going on the outside. So
Okay.
we did one in the middle of the wire form, one on the inside, and then now we're putting our one on the outside. So
This is beautiful.
the white fur.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I love it. This is the only thing we can't really scavenge, so we get it from Coward's Farm
Okay.
up in Massachusetts.
But that's still a local,
Yep.
fairly local
Yeah.
place. It's really great. And how long has your family been doing wreaths?
We've been doing it for about, my mom did it before I was alive, so I think it's about 25 years we've been making and selling wreaths, pots, swags, and garland,
That's amazing.
that sort of thing.
And so the whole family, everybody gets
Yep.
involved?
Yep, everybody chips in. It's a nice little family affair we've got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is getting near the end of the wreath. I'll just clear a little space so we can see. I'm gonna need a little bit more materials, but when you're getting towards the end, you wanna make sure your stems aren't going too long, so you're gonna overlap on this. You're gonna wanna make sure it's staying all inside your design.
Oh, okay.
So you're not having any of the ends of your pieces stick out, and they're all tucked underneath one another. I'm not quite there yet, but in the next couple bunches, we'll be finishing off the wreath. See, like this piece is kind of going off track, a little wonky in the middle. I'll use like another piece, something like with a strong back, a little bit more sturdy, to kind of guide it up, push it up, kind of keep it in line a little bit more so it doesn't look so crazy. I'm just gonna have the right amount of this.
Amazing. There is something really satisfying about estimating and it comes out perfectly.
Alright, so we're close to being done. It's tempting to want to make your bunches smaller as you near the end, just because you want to be able to fit it all in there, but you kind of want to remain consistent with your materials and the size of your bunches, just so you can't really tell where the beginning and the end of your wreath is. It just looks like one continuous circle.
Yeah, that's
So,
a really good point.
when you get to the end here, it might be a little tricky. Don't get scared. You're just gonna slide your bunches underneath so it's not showing right there. It gets a little bit tricky with the wire, so you're just gonna want to make sure you're not wiring down any of your previous work. And then, you know, if you're not feeling too confident about how the end of your wreath is starting out, you could just add a bow to where you started and ended. No one has to know. So this is probably gonna be close to our last bunch in there. We might have two or three more here.
Are smaller wreaths easier to make, or it doesn't really matter?
It just takes a little bit less time, you know.
It's because it's the same technique, so it really
same
the size of
exact technique. Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna add one more right here. You see a little hole, and then I should be all set.
Just gorgeous. You make it look so easy, but I can tell you that if I had been wrestling with that wire, I would have had everything tangled. Nothing would have stayed tight. So this is just amazing.
Thank you. And then to finish off, you're gonna want to tie off your wire. So I like to make a little loop on this side, go the opposite way, and then just feed my spool of wire through it.
So you basically, like you're tying a shoe, you make a loop and pull it through.
Kind of do one of those moves, and then you can make yourself a little hanger.
Right.
So you can hang your wreath up. So I'm gonna cut the wire, the official mark that I'm done. All right. So I'm just gonna kind of pull this same move with the hanger. It's kind of hard to see because it's such a thin wire, but I'm just wrapping the end around the outside here, around the end of my loop.
And it's just a single loop, and that's going to be
this isn't
it is
a single-sided wreath.
Yeah.
So it's lighter, and then I just like to mark it off with a little ribbon so you can see the
you can
tag.
tell where it is.
But do you want to pass me a little loopy? That's perfect. We take our little scrap ribbon, rip off a little piece, and then tie it on the tag. And then you can add a bow, whatever your heart desires, and then you can go back in and fill in any holes or add in bunches in whatever you wanted to do. These are original customers that have every single year. The product. I think that's really
Well, guys, so we just had an amazing time watching Rachel do a hand-tied wreath.
I think I can do it.
I think so too. I think you're more coordinated and more crafty than I am.
We can do it.
I think we can do it.
This has been a good education, and thank you so much to Rachel and her mom Laura and her brother for letting
Joe.
us come eavesdrop.
Yeah.
For
And it's such a busy time. It was amazing because so many customers were coming in and they were greeting people they haven't seen since last holiday season, and just was such a warm feeling. It's such a great family. It was
I know.
wonderful.
I sort of feel like Christmas season's begun.
too.
So let's go home and
See what we can do.
yeah.
Bye,
Okay.
guys. See you next time on New Digs.
Bye.